New York City Dems seek to allow illegal immigrants to stay in city shelters indefinitely, which is, you know, a little bit of a kick in the nuts to the people who are not illegal immigrants but homeless. Shelter evictions are a human rights abuse, they say, that both the city and state legislatures need to be taking on. I'm not sure if it is, actually, because that would imply a human right to someone else's labor or someone else's property, which is not what human rights are. Positive rights are a malady and should almost never happen. Critics are speaking out in New York City as Democrat City Council members are attempting to pass legislation to remove limitations on how long illegal immigrants can stay in government-owned shelters. According to filings, Councilwoman Shahana Hanif plans to reintroduce legislation that would end the length of shelter stay limitation on February 28th. The item is scheduled to be brought up in a public hearing on March 1st. Hanif told the New York Post, shelter evictions are a human rights abuse that both the city and state legislators need to be taking on, given our shared oversight of shelter functions, she added. Our offices will be collaborating closely as we work to advance our bills in City Hall and the Capitol. Yeah, it seems like more just like wedging, just trying to sabotage society. The legislation goes against Democratic Mayor Eric Adams' July 2023 mandate that only allowed illegal immigrants to stay in city-run shelters for 60 days. He later lowered the length of stay for single adults to just 30 days before they are required to reapply. Critics of the bill say that check-ins are needed to ensure illegal immigrants are doing what is necessary to make a living on their own. They shouldn't be in the country at all. All this extra work. Councilwoman Joanne Areola, great second name there, Republican from Queens, told the outlet the 30 and 60-day check-ins exist for a reason, she noted. They provide opportunities for city agencies to make contact with migrants in the shelter system and ensure that they're on a path towards living on their own. Let's just make this very clear again, chat. Sanctuary cities are a constitutional issue in your country. They are cities which are openly in defiance of federal law, of the Constitution itself. It's really not good. It should never have happened, not even for one individual, let alone for how many cities in the US are counted as sanctuary cities? It should never happen. Removing these crucial check-ins will only create a culture of dependency in which migrants remain reliant on the government and never leave the city's care. Areola continued. This whole thing is really little more than a PR stunt by my colleague on the radical left. They are trying to legislate the management of city agencies. This is something that can't be legislated, and they know that. Mayor Adams has been a vocal critic of the Biden admin's lack of assistance for sanctuary cities that are bearing the brunt of the crisis at the southern border. No, Texas is. Earlier this week, he declared that there is no more room in New York City. Interesting. Very interesting. Our hearts are endless, she says, but our resources are not. Oh, that's interesting. What you've just discovered is what conservatives have been saying all across the Western world for, at the minimum, 10 years, but realistically closer to 50, one way or the other. That no matter how much we may want to help people from outside our countries, we do not have infinite resources to do so. And if we start bringing in outside people, we will get all kinds of problems. Not just lack of resources, but we will lose what makes us worthy of those resources in the first place, which is now happening. It's not like New York is not saying we are not a city of immigrants. We are, she says, which is very questionable. She says we have a rich history of immigrants, but we can't take the global problem and have it become our problem. That is unfair to New Yorkers and it's unfair to migrants. Well, congratulations. You have successfully caught up to Republicans 20, 30 years ago. Who is it saying this, actually? Adams. Oh, literally the mayor of New York, who I assume is very much Democrat. That's interesting that he's saying that.